sorry we have to do this to you, but you know what you're getting into. If you click that link, we're finally doing it. Talking about flat Earth. I am so sorry. R.I.P. you, R.I.P. me, R.I.P. Brett and his tinfoil hat. I'm so sorry. First things first, this topic, just anytime that I read about this, listen to it, or watch anything on it, I feel physically the brain cells being sucked out of my head and evaporating in the ether. So I want to thank Rachel and her husband Kyle, Rachel from our CERN and Mandela Effect episodes, for doing most of this outline for me.
Thanks, Rachel and Kyle.
Thank you. God, you fucking angels. You saved my life. I'm like a little drunk. Okay, I'm getting towards full drunk because I got my candle, I've got my tequila, I've got my stress penis. Because this episode and this topic makes me feel stupid. Like, dedicating brain power to this makes me feel dumber. So I want to invite, or take two, marker. I want to welcome Aaron back with us. He is going to be the anchor of the sinking ship. Brett, you can't see the tinfoil hat because it's probably invisible. Thanks, government, CIA.
Wow.
So, yeah, we're going to talk tonight about the nature of flat earther beliefs, the nature of normal people's beliefs, like that the earth is round, like that we know it's round. And then
that's not a belief, that's a fact, by the way, just putting that out there.
Yeah, it's a fact. And then we're also going to talk about, well, I am going to take shots while Brett and Ron debate this shit because I hate it so much.
And I will preface this because it won't be a debate. And again, I am not a flat earther. I am an individual with questions. So that gets misconstrued. An
individual with questions about flat Earth.
With things that it's not just with this topic; it's with many other topics. But I know, Kristen, I know you've heard about this, about the fifth monkey experiment. I know, Aaron, you might know about this. But to kind of like preface or to let our listeners know, what the fifth monkey experiment is you have an enclosure of 5 monkeys, a ladder, and bananas at the top of the ladder. Every time a monkey tries to go to the top of the ladder to get the bananas, it gets sprayed with ice cold water to deter it from wanting to go get it. One by one, these scientists switch out the monkeys with a new monkey to the enclosure. And the new monkey would obviously want to go up the ladder to get the bananas. The other monkeys that were trained from the cold water being sprayed would pull the other monkey down from climbing the ladder and beat it up until it would not want to go up the ladder anymore. And this would continue until the whole enclosure was a whole new set of 5 monkeys. It wasn't even the original monkeys. And they weren't using water anymore, but out of being conditioned, they wouldn't go. They would just accept to not go up the ladder and get the bananas. So my point being is that it's not that I disprove science or, believe the earth is flat or anything. There are certain things where I do want to question why we do things or why certain things aren't put in perspective or why we take things at face value and not investigate it ourselves. So I'm just someone that questions things a little more, wants to know the who's, why's, what's, when, the 5 W's and go from there. And if it's factual and can be proven, great. If it's something that's unknown, then let's keep, plugging away until we figure out what it is. So I wanted to at least say that for the tinfoil hat part, Casey.
I like that you brought up that argument because it is a very justifiable argument in human behavior, even though it's monkeys, but similarity on the construct. If you teach somebody enough, sooner or later, they will teach the others. That would be pretty much the explanation for anybody who believes in flat Earth. There was 1, and then there was 2, and then there was 10, and then there was 100, and now there's like maybe 150. No, I think there was 600 at their last conference. So, I mean, that's kind of like you can use that literal debate. You can use that to say this is exactly why people think the Earth is flat, and that is stupid. Sorry,
but I get that, and I'm also going a little deeper too. Like, okay, being brought up as a child, you're taught to listen to adults and listen to teachers and so forth, or people of authority, doctors. And as you grow up, you're always told to just accept because they went to school for it or they know more, and you just accept that teaching or that knowledge. And sometimes we just accept that knowledge without learning about it ourselves, and that's just the way it's always been. And again, there's an argument to be that why reinvent the wheel if it works, but there's also things that can be spurned by questioning the status quo and figuring out, where we're at and what we can do better. And
Well,
so what happens if those people lie to you, or if you just take something, let's say you've always been lied to that the earth is a cube. As a child, you really wouldn't question until you get to an age to care enough or want to question that. But you would always accept that from those figures in your life. And I'm not saying that's what happens, but I'm just using it as an example of just always accepting things as they are or at face value.
And then you see the rest of the world go, oh, the earth is a sphere. And you go, what the hell? I learned it was a cube. And then you look at facts and go, oh shit, I was wrong. It's a sphere.
And then, of course, there's people that never feel they're wrong.
Oh,
Poor Casey. And I know that's kind of like sidetracking a little bit. And I just want to put that out there. No, I just want to put that out there that just because somebody of a certain rank or someone tells me something, like, yeah, I want to believe them. And you've even accused me of being gullible on the show, Casey, and not just that you don't need to do a flat earth pun, but you talk about being gullible.
It wasn't an accusation. It was a statement.
Like, okay, but you pull up to, a traffic stop or something, and the guy's got stolen merchandise in his hand. He's like, hey, the guy went that way. You're going to question him and not just take his word for it. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, just the investigative process, science, basically. Like, let's just dive in. So I won't derail us anymore, but I wanted to at least put that out there.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm a little buzzed, so I'm just going to let y'all roll with this. I have a giant fresh refill of pretty much straight tequila. There's a little Snapple tea in here too, but mostly it's just tequila. And this is what I have to do to get through this episode, guys. So thank you for your service. Thank you for your service.
This is going to be your favorite episode now.
It's already my favorite episode.
All right. A number of ancient cultures believed that the earth is flat simply because they didn't know any better. This is me segueing into our actual outline. But incredibly, there remain people today who still believe that the earth is flat, despite centuries of evidence proving the contrary. So why the fuck do people believe this? And is it even worth getting into a debate over? The hint is absolutely not, but here we are getting into a debate over it. Love this for us.
Oh, we're not even debating. We're going to talk about what they believe. Like, we're talking about flat earthers and what they think.
Oh, I believe the earth is flat, which is wrong.
And that's what we're discussing.
Brett and his TikTok science versus us. It's going to be great.
Thousands of years of science and knowledge to say that it's a sphere. Yes.
So surprisingly, while there are mountains of proof, the discussion around the idea of a flat earth has nothing to do with evidence at all. Not intelligent or real evidence anyway. So to put it bluntly, we know more about the curvature of Earth than almost any other topic in the realm of physical science. There are so many experiments, observations, and demonstrations that have, time and time again, revealed the curve of the Earth. So obviously today, by our powers combined, science, logic, and common sense are going to make Brett regret spending so much time on TikTok. So how did this flat Earth belief come about? How did we get here? Why are we having this conversation? Why are these words coming out of our mouth? So you'll be shocked to know it is from beliefs in two things. Flat earthers' intuition, okay, and fundamentalist religious faith. Gasp. I will point out, on the official Flat Earth Organization website, they currently say the Flat Earth theory is neither officially nor unofficially associated with any religion. Yeah, okay, they also try to claim they're not a cult, but, we know how it is. Throughout the ages, various religious institutions have championed a flat earth model for the world. Unfortunately, this leaves us with the vestigial thought that flat earth theory and religions are symbiotic. They're not. Even though many religions today, both mainstream and otherwise, still teach its followers that the world is flat. While they're not incorrect, believing in a flat earth isn't contingent upon believing in a deity or being a part of any religion, end quote. While the world seems pretty flat when we go about our daily lives, according to these guys, the Bible contains passages that suggest that our world could be a flat surface covered by a dome, or what they call the firmament. I believe that's an Old Testament term. Throughout the 19th and 20th centuries, flat eartherism was motivated by religious zealots, taking the Bible literally as usual. Believers saw the globe and astronomy as threats to their imaginary sky daddy. 19th century flat earth author John Hampden argued, no one can believe a single doctrine or dogma of modern astronomy and accept scripture as divine revelation. So flat earth believers have long occupied a fringe within the Christian creationism movement and have been a source of embarrassment for other creationists. And I'm going to take a break to drink some more and let Aaron carry the torch.
Oh my God. Did you want me to read or just totally deconstruct everything you just said?
Yeah, that. Do you, boo
Okay.
boo?
Let's first start with the fact that whether you believe in the Bible or not, it was written a time before they knew that the earth was round. It was obviously, it was before heliocentrism, of course. So yeah, that's totally feasible. I believe, Flat Earth Dave says there's over 200 references. From what I've been able to tell, I've seen about 14 plus references to the earth being flat in the Bible. However, let's disseminate that very quickly. I don't believe, and I don't think that anybody should believe, that anybody religious believes that it's flat earth. I know tons of religious people, different religions, things like that. None of them believe the earth is flat. People who believe the earth is flat are misrepresentation of whatever basic science that they don't understand. And it shouldn't be referenced in religion. That's just me putting my opinion out there. Cause like I said, this is a stupidity thing, not a,
and
I
I
not a
agree.
would
religious
say,
belief.
and I would say this, looking at, just being able to buy space telescopes and look at some of our nearby planets, like we have these neighboring planets in our solar system and you see them as spheres. What makes you think that ours is not a sphere? We're the one off out of all of them. Like it just, that in itself doesn't make sense.
I agree with you 100% on that. You're on the same page. Yeah. If you're going to see us as flat, then why wouldn't you see the rest of the universe? Now I know I could go through my notes. I got tons of notes. I know they have tons of theories on that specific thing, but there's no science backing it up. Like you said earlier, we've known the earth is round for over 2,000 years. It's basic human science, basic human logic. So to me, this is just people being stupid. It's like people trolling the world and then they actually started believing it.
That's kind of my theory, is that kind of like birds aren't real, but obviously this one caught on more when people maybe were just trolling, and somehow then somebody, because
I think it was on. I think it was Joe Rogan. I think there's one that Joe Rogan did where he talked about the trolling of it starting like in a troll type situation. Even I believe he said he wasn't sure if that was it, but it was a feasible and plausible story of like early internet. Somebody trolled it out there before people really knew what fake bullshit internet was, and then people believed it, and that's truthfully that's scarier than any sort of theory about the Earth being flat.
Brett,
but I do appreciate Fred's questions. I do appreciate that he's curious.
Yeah, no, that's all accurate what you said. And I don't know if it covers later in the outline, but the idea of the firmament goes back to creationism, and that basically we're in a dome and that we are a special creation by God. Going to the, religion side, which to me, religion is a control mechanism.
well,
But the thing
religious
is,
or otherwise, you have to essentially, in order to buy completely into flat Earth, you have to believe in creationism, not necessarily religion or Christianity, but you have to believe that something created the dome and the fake planets and the fake sun and all this fake shit, this projection overhead. You have to believe something intelligent put us here, right?
And then people question, like, okay, well, if that even was the case, why hide it, or why do this disinformation, which isn't disinformation, it's just science. But like, why do all this, to control this? And the argument by these flat earthers to this is that humans don't want to think that we're trapped. Like, we want to go where no man's gone before. We want to explore. And if we find out that we're like in a bottle, like we're in a planetarium, we're in an enclosure, being observed or monitored, or whatever the case might be, because you can go many different ways with those rabbit holes, that would explain that there is a higher power or something more intelligent than us. And that would make us not, gods of our lives, basically. And that's like something that they argue why it's the elites or Illuminati or whatever you want to say. We'll try to say, like, that's why they hide the flat earth. That's why they won't let you go to Antarctica. That's why they won't let you find the lost continents or hollow earth, or, it just keeps spiraling from there. But
I'm going to skip over this religious bit just because there's so much to talk about. Basically, there's some really old newsletters, Flat Earth Society newsletters that we read through, and they basically believe the sun doesn't set, and it all comes down to something about the fucking Mount Sinai and one world government, and on it goes.
I was watching models of that, and some of it's just,
God.
it's so out there to make it fit, like to make the puzzle, try to make their puzzle pieces fit, and they're like super gluing them and like arts and crafts to make this work.
So to do my due diligence, I am going to read you a little bit about like the nature of like diving into the details of flat earth beliefs. And they vary,
Fun.
obviously. There's a lot of different branches you can follow here, and they can't seem to agree amongst themselves on anything, Brett.
And the one thing I will say in defense of that for you, is that the science doesn't change. Like the flat Earth, the flat earthers, their stories change to make it fit their narrative, whereas the science stays consistent. So
Right.
I will go point science 0 flat earth on that.
Brett is trying so hard not to get labeled as with tinfoil.
No, but when we get to the spots that I'll have questions, I'll bring them up. But like for a lot of this, I do follow the science, and it is legit.
I'll even add more to that science actually can change if it's shown that it's wrong. At one point, we believed that the Earth was the center of the universe, and that the sun went around us. Throughout time, over time, we figured out that was wrong. So that's the thing with science. People forget that science it can be fact, but if you can show and prove and do what you need to do to say, hey, your science is wrong, and have actually logistic true statements and not just lies, then
data
science is open to change. Any true scientist, anybody who believes in the science of the world knows that. I mean, come on. I literally just read an article today about stuff that had to do with the Big Bang, and they're talking about how that may have been debunked by some of the stuff that's coming out right now. So
the
science
Big
is constantly
Bang
changing.
Was just God's gun going off in his mouth. We all know that.
I have seen that meme.
That's my favorite one right now. So
they'll have religious friends
again,
that would just be like, what the hell?
First of all, I don't know if I stuttered or was too subtle, but fuck religion.
Yes,
all right. So flat Earth beliefs usually involve a large disc-shaped world with a relatively tiny sun and moon circling above it like lamps over a table. Flat Earth maps rearrange the continents and seas to radiate outward from the North Pole, which is imagined to be at the very center of the disk. Everything we think of as a southern hemisphere is spread out around the outer circumference. It is usually claimed that Antarctica does not exist at all. We're going to get into that later. Instead, the entire disk is encircled by a vast wall of ice that we mistake for a frozen southern continent. So, again, we did touch on this, but the people who make these claims are not always sincere. There's a long tradition of humorous trolling by people who merely pretend to think the Earth is flat. However, genuine, passionate flat Earth believers, certainly do exist. A lot of them. They typically base their beliefs on two things. Again, intuition and fundamentalist religious faith. We went on and on about biblical literalism. I'm going to skip through that.
No, that makes a good point. Your biblical literalism definitely makes a good point, as far as taking it from that 18th century, 19th century type stuff where people kind of went back in that direction. So no, don't take it away. It's okay to have that in there. Just don't reference to people like everybody who's religious is stupid enough to believe that. You may be have your belief in some deity that, doesn't exist or does exist or whatever it might be. But I don't know. Flat earthers are like the bottom. I think I heard this somewhere else, but I mean, flat earthers are like the bottom of the conspiracy pool. Like it's like if you believe in flat Earth, then really, dude, you're reaching at the stars.
It comes down to not literally the opposite, reaching for the aliens that control the stars. You mean? So. Again, the internet has kind of fostered a more secular flat Earth strain along with Christian fundamentalists. But it remains the positions of many flat earthers today that, we're in the habitat, the bubble, what have you, the dome. While they've long occupied a fringe belief within the Christian creationism movement, they've been a source of embarrassment for other creationists, as you mentioned.
I can see that.
For example, the creationist ministry, I hate to even say this out loud because I fucking hate these people, Answers in Genesis, has published several articles correctly debunking flat Earth beliefs, only to be accused of hypocrisy for accepting astronomy while rejecting geology and biology.
You can't pick and choose, boys and girls.
You're right. Are you going to believe one fairy tale but not the other? I really like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, but Cinderella, that's bullshit. That's taking it too fucking far, guys.
It's like making the puzzle piece fit that you found, even though it's not the right puzzle piece.
Yeah.
So what's the new term they're using now? Minor attracted. I mean, you mean pedophile?
That's
Have
a
you heard of that?
terrible term. I haven't heard of
Have
that, and
you heard of
whoever
that?
came up with that
That
is already
oh,
terrible.
that's out of your state. I think
Personally.
that's coming out of UC. I need to check.
Oh,
I think that was out of UC Berkeley.
really?
Yeah.
That seems like a
I'm
terrible statement.
so glad you managed to fit that in here. Thank you, Brett. That's very relevant.
It's
Thank
amazing.
you.
I know. I don't know how I
Super
do it.
great. Love that. The stress penis is
Excellent.
getting worked so hard. Okay. So flat earth beliefs, like I mentioned earlier, almost require some form of creationist faith because the flat earth could not be a natural object. If such a world existed, it could only be an artificial environment constructed on purpose and maintained by forces we do not understand. Left to itself, a disk world would collapse under its own gravity, forming a sphere like other planets, large moons, and stars. So this whole thing is literally falling apart. Since the dawn of the space age, flat Earth beliefs have necessarily also entailed believing that a vast conspiracy deceives us about the nature of the world. The space program is a scientific plot to hoodwink the public, claims Charles and Marjorie Johnson, the most prominent flat Earth advocates during the 70s, 80s, and 90s. If they were correct about the shape of the Earth, it would follow that a conspiracy must exist to falsify evidence of moon landings and images of the Earth from space. I know Brett has a lot to say on that topic. However, this claim of a worldwide conspiracy suffers from the same serious flaws as other similar grand conspiracy narratives, such as the chemtrails conspiracy theory that aircraft chemtrails are actually part of a secret global spraying program designed to poison the Earth.
Oh, you mean coal fly ash is what it's called.
First, there is no evidence that any such conspiracy exists. Second, it is implausible to suppose that a conspiracy could exist at that scale for decades without any of the countless thousands of conspirators ever leaking the truth. And third, if a conspiracy was so powerful as to hide itself successfully forever, it would surely also be able to stop flat earthers from constantly blabbing about it on the internet, newspapers, and television. Finally, it is unclear what could possibly motivate the sustained worldwide effect and expanse necessary to conceal the shape of the Earth. Oh my god!
Wow! All there is wow on a lot of that. Yes.
Just my eyes twitch. Hold on, tequila. Come here.
But if Brett's got questions, we'll gladly, answer them for you.
He's just
I kind of covered.
I
covered some of that in the intro. Just taking things like this is how they said, this is how it's always been, and we were talking. Maybe I've been before the show about some of the pictures from space. How a lot of them were CGI composites by NASA, or they're pieced together, or it wasn't just a full photo. Until recently, we haven't had that, crazy. Which I'm so happy that we finally have those now, because I've been looking for those. But there's just certain things that I just want to say, like, okay, can we turn the camera a little bit this way? Can we see it this way? Science is about discovery. Like, it's literally asking questions and want to see other angles. That's all.
I think that's more Go ahead.
It's more just skepticism on my end for a couple things.
Yeah, but what is your skepticism? Is your skepticism trust in, say, NASA and the space programs that exist? Is that the skepticism? Or are they hiding? You know what I mean? Like,
so this is probably where I get thrown with the flat earthers, because flat earthers, I think we cover, is usually someone that lacks trust in the institutions and systems and government, and that's where you get put as outlier crazy. Like me, I don't trust the government. I really don't. I even served for the government. And does the government do a lot of things correct? Do we do a lot of things right? Sure. But do we do a lot of things wrong? Okay. Absolutely.
So do you not just trust the American government, or just government as a whole?
Any government.
Okay, so let's take away the government space agencies and talk about the private space agencies that aren't part of the government, who will also tell you that the Earth is round. You know what I'm saying? They'll also give you those photos that you're looking for. Like, is it just a trust on like a larger scale? Like you said earlier, is it just feeding the learning, and then no one's ever questioning the learning? Or is it seriously like you just don't trust any of it?
No, I mean, some of it's just like really hard to trust, or it's like for instance, like Bigfoot sightings or something like that. Like, it's always grainy, goofy footage. It's always like, okay, that kind of looks real, kind of not. We're also in a digital age where there can be a lot of manipulation. Like, it makes it very hard to trust. I mean, and then we were talking about disinformation. Like, there's a lot of things where you just got to sift through. Like, is this real? Is it not? Is this bullshit? Is it real?
Right.
And there's certain things where, you know, NASA's been, you know, caught. Well, okay, we'll leave the government out of it, or government space agencies. But so let's talk about like SpaceX, for instance. There's been footage circulating around of some of the test fires or rockets that SpaceX has been launching, of them allegedly hitting the firmament or the top of the dome, or, you know, to me that seems like more of a CGI thing. Okay, I'm not saying it's real or not. I'm not picking sides here, but
it's not real,
but
just so you know.
But again, there's certain things that kind of, you know, make me question, because there was one where it showed a camera that was on it where it like hit the dome and started to like seem like it started to curve, which I get, right. Rockets are going to curve. Like I understand that portion, but like there's certain things that just make you question reality, or like, hey, is it really like that? And I'm not saying one way or the other, and I do trust science, but if we're going also with the private agencies, you know, where they're using like balloons instead of rockets to even get into lower space,
reusable rockets that they, well, I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, if there is videos of any space agency running into the quote unquote dome, I'm going to roll with the real heavy fakeness there, because we have plenty of footage from just since we hit space. Let's go with Sputnik. Even without video cameras, Sputnik went into space. It went around the globe.
I think 57, 58.
Yeah, I think it was in our notes. I mean, it just, I can see why Cloudy is getting frustrated, because I've seen other podcasts where people who are just logical get incredibly frustrated. I told myself I wouldn't get frustrated because I know you, and I know that you don't. You know, I kind of have an idea of your opinion, but speaking about it does get frustrating. I mean, there's so many facts to show you that the earth is not flat. I mean, they're literally just consistently done. What you need to look at is the true behavior of the people who think that. But as a whole, what you're saying, like not trusting the government, is a huge part of this flat earth theory. So if it's just trust that causes you to question, I mean, there's so many people that would have to be involved in this conspiracy. It is literally insane, the amount of numbers.
And let me just say, I don't trust the government in like even 1%, like either. But this doesn't just come down to a distrust of the government. It comes down to a distrust and an actual willfulness to be ignorant towards actual real science. And that's what frustrates me. Facts. It's not about trusting the fucking government, okay? It's like, I hate the government and they say the earth is round, therefore I must believe it's not round because I distrust it. Like, that's not how it works. Like, just out of spite, fuck you.
And I get Brett's argument. Yeah, he wants to question that, but you know, you're right.
And if
this is something that's kind of unquestionable, you know, like don't question it.
And then like I believe that we are, you know, on, you know, a sphere, like we're on, as Joe Rogan calls it, a rock floating through space. And,
he's funny as hell, by the way.
No, but speaking of questions, like I don't know if this covers later in Antarctica, but like we have U.S. Marshals that have jurisdiction in Antarctica under the Antarctic Treaty, which I don't know how far we cover into that. And then there's also speculation. Again, I have no proof of this. This is things I've heard, and this is stuff I would like to know more about if it is true, about the science teams that go down to Antarctica that are harvesting or looking into what's called sky ice, which some people theorize could be part of the dome. Which I'm not saying we're in a dome, but what the hell is sky ice? So, and again, it could be a different type of ice or air freezing just from the coldest temperatures on Earth. Like, I don't know, but
if we can go off just stupid government program names, you could probably call sky ice something underground. Like you can obviously know the government program.
Oh, their names are terrible.
As terrible. You guys, exactly. You were military. You understand that. So we can go there. Like, that's stupid. And then they have, again, proof. Now, again, flat earthers will say that the footage is a lie. They'll say that those aren't real videos. But people actually go down to Antarctica. There are research facilities in Antarctica.
They like
to use Antarctica because, you know, the bulk of the planet lives on the northern hemisphere. So here, let's use that, and it makes it fit a little better. But yeah, no, there's people down there. There's footage down there. Like there's,
I know that.
It's like going to somebody who's been to the moon, which I really hate. Like, hey, you've stepped on the moon. No, you haven't. No one ever did that. Like when Buzz Aldrin punched that guy in the face for that shit. Like that's exactly what it should be.
I probably would have done the same. Like spend your whole life studying, training, working so hard, being the most elite of the fucking elite. Just for everyone to be like, I don't trust the government. You never set foot on the moon.
I'm glad you guys didn't have me on that episode because I would have lost my shit on that.
I light up. Try me.
That's like you doing like a meet and greet with the community, and like a little 4-year-old comes up to you while you're in uniform and looks up at you and goes like, "You're not a cop."
Okay, I don't think you understand though. Like that's what. So
yeah, there's a difference though between a 4-year-old and a grown person who has a
no, but
logical
that's
brain.
what I'm equating some of these
Yeah.
conspiracy theorists down to that level of thinking, like they haven't matured or
I love conspiracy.
grown past.
I can jump on a conspiracy all day long. There's a bunch of them out there that I could probably argue the other side for because I totally am into that kind of stuff. That's one of the reasons I love doing your guys' show. But this is not.
This isn't a conspiracy.
I want to say
this
like
is
this isn't good enough to be a conspiracy. Like you're insulting people who believe in conspiracies because it's so ridiculously retarded.
9/11 structural support.
Yes.
Don't do it.
That's
Brett.
a conspiracy.
Don't start that.
What
I
was
said
that?
I was saying World Trade Center structural supports. That's a conspiracy theory. If you want to start
me and you have had actual conversations about that in real life, and yeah, that's a whole nother ballgame. But this one, on the other hand, is I'm telling you, this is bottom of the chain. I'm just making this show. These guys are making money. Look at flatearthdave.com. Flat Earth Dave. Look at I'm promoting it on your show. Flatearthdave.com.
I will agree.
Is that not making money? Does the guy sell merchandise? Yes, he sells merchandise. He sells stupid.
Does he sell fake penises? Because I already broke this one. This is my 4th broken penis.
I don't know, but you could probably get one that says flatearthdave.com on it.
I want to rip it in half on the air. Like I can easily rip this in half right now, but I need it.
This is the low hanging fruit of conspiracy, and I don't even want to call it conspiracy because, again, like you said, there's so much data.
Yeah, it's insulting
to show otherwise. Like, but for the sake of the podcast and listeners and requests and stigma, we have to cover this. So,
I truly love covering it. I didn't think I would get as irritated, but I do totally love covering it because to me, it's one of those things like it's so basic and factual that anybody, even someone like myself who has no science degree, that's right, podcasters out there, boys and girls, I have no science degree.
You're a scientist.
Yeah, I'm not anything crazy other than the normal guy who likes to read. But the whole point is that even the most basic science experiments, the most basic even concept of science can tell you that the earth is round. And they come out there with every theory in the book. Everybody's talked about all this stuff. And it hurts because it's like you watch them lie and you're like, dude, you are literally convincing other dumb people to believe your shit. And it's spreading like wildfire.
And then what do you think they get out of that by getting followers? Like, is that like an ego stroke?
I don't know. Some of these guys, I want to say they're making money off of it. I don't know a lot about, making money on YouTube. I don't have any channels or anything like that, but I do understand like they do make money on merchandise. They do make money on the concepts. There are people who are donating to their funds who want to believe it, but there are so many better ways to make money on the internet. Like
my problem,
is just awful.
Like show your titties like a normal person. God.
I do have one for you. Okay, so there's a writer. I'm sorry to go to jump in here. His name is Lee McIntyre, and he's a philosopher from Boston University. He's an expert in science of denial. That's his expert. This is science of denial, and he wrote a book called "Respecting Truth: Willful Ignorance in the Internet Age." And basically it talks about a bunch of stuff, but there are this specific topic with flat earthers that they truly do believe it. Like our conversation last week with the alien abduction, there are some out there that really, truly do believe it. So when you kind of crush those moments or you put that in it, I've seen it on some debates online with other people where a flat earther gets crushed in his belief or her belief and then wants to change topic because they don't have the answer. They just would rather just falsely believe it. So that's a whole nother conversation when it comes to flat earth. It's one thing to troll. It's one thing to make money on it, but you've got people out there that truly, and I hate to use the word, but they are truly ignorant enough to believe that this is actually real. And they don't care about your science. It doesn't matter what we say.
No, it doesn't matter about
science. Conspiracy. It's ridiculous.
It all fits their the one thing issue I take with the flat earthers, I think that really strikes against them, is it always fits their narrative. Or if you have the science that disproves them, there's always some pie in the sky reason why it's wrong.
Yeah, instead of showing that their science is right, they would rather just ridiculously disrespect the entire science community and tell them that they're wrong. Like I said, it's been around for thousands of years. Everybody knows that. Greek philosophers.
It's funny that you mentioned, right? I thought that name sounded familiar. I have like the online fucking library. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because I have the online like library app where I listen to a lot of my books on triple speed, and I
Mm-hmm.
had requested like they don't have anything in their catalog by him, but I had like put in my
Mm-hmm.
little request. So I'm like, that sounds. I'm gonna check before I say that, but I just went and checked, and like that's one that I had put in my little request for with my library. But of course, they don't like to have anything remotely what's the word, scandalous or
Another
controversial.
conspiracy.
Oh yeah. So one of the things I was gonna say is I think the reason this topic irritates me so much and topics adjacent to it are because I'm a cop, as everyone fucking knows, and the
Mm-hmm.
people that I talk to who are high and or mentally ill or some combination thereof, you know what they fucking love to talk random nonsense about?
Is it flat Earth?
Crazy. It's flat Earth, religion. A lot of times it's like way farther left, like a really common one is the CIA or FBI or some agency is spying on them through wires and outlets and light bulbs and things. This is a very common theme. I don't know how they all get there. They're hearing the electrical buzzing and they're hearing agencies talk to them or spy on them through the outlets or through the electricity. Really weird shit. But that's what this reminds me of. And listening to people talk about it reminds me of listening to people who are fucking high talk about crazy shit. That's what it reminds me of. And that's why it's so fucking irritating to me. Because those people are just like, okay, buddy, yeah, you want to go to the hospital? Is there someone I can call for you? Okay, yeah, the CIA is in your wall outlets. Absolutely, buddy, for sure. 100%. You have any meth on you?
Yeah.
And
The
that's
problem is these people aren't high. That's the true problem. They're not high. I mean, if they are, whatever. But I mean, yeah, no, they really truly believe this crap. I mean, flat Earth, like seriously.
this is the kind of shit though. It's religious shit and it's the dome. They talk about this is the shit they talk about. That's why it's frustrating. But we're
I
gonna
didn't see
try
much
to.
on the dome. What can you guys elaborate on this dome thing that you guys are like? What did you say? Fermentation? Isn't that how they make beer? Fermentation.
Okay, I'll break this down. I'll break this down. The firmament or the dome. This goes back to creationism, and I was brought up like Christian and theological courses, and
Stupid.
so Old Hebrew or creationism, what they believe is that the earth, the surface of the deep, when God spoke, that when he created light and created terra firma or earth, what we call land,
right,
is that he encased us in a dome to protect us from the heavens, which basically would keep, and the dome used to be more powerful or more humidity. That's why we have fossils of larger animals or bigger dragonflies back in the day or millions of years ago. We find these fossils. But the idea is that above us is water, and this firmament or dome protects us from the water. And creationism goes back to the flood, that the firmament was opened, and that also flooded the earth, and to drown Noah's Ark, that kind of thing.
Wow.
So basically, we're in this little bubble floating through space, and this firmament or dome is what protects us.
And in order to really buy in, because it's like dominoes, to believe the Earth is flat, you have to believe XYZ number of other things. So that the dome exists. There's a dome above us. We've never been to space and we can't go to space. The sun is basically an artificial heat lamp, everything's a projection that we see.
And it's like 3,000 miles away or something like that.
And
300 feet. I don't know, whatever that. Sitting on top of their head.
An alien ant farm under this dome. And
I do like the ant farm thing, but that's just me being
now. And
I totally think, like I said, we're a zoo for aliens, but that's different. It's not a dome.
Stars and constellations. The reason they blink. This is not me saying this. This is their belief system on this. The reason stars blink, or it's not from distance or anything like that. It's the reflections of them, of light going through water, trying to come through the firmament or through the dome.
You're literally making this shit up. Seriously,
no, I'm not. I'm not. I will no. That this is one thing they believe, and then the other thing is that each of these stars is a spiritual being of some kind, whether that be an angel or a demon or entity. Like that's another.
Fucking meth heads, man! I'm telling you, it's the meth heads.
It's not my belief. I'm just explaining what they.
I would just want to know where you're getting all this shit, because I did a ton of research on this stuff before this episode, and I have no idea what the hell you're talking about on any of that. It just sounds like made up garbage. It sounds like you're making stuff up to just give us some shit.
Casey, help me out here. I'm not speaking bullshit. This is stuff they believe. This is.
Who are you? So,
don't do this to me.
Flat Earth belief requires creationist faith. Again, Brett mentioned it a little. It doesn't necessarily require Christian faith, but creationist faith, meaning something created the habitat we're living in.
Something higher than us created our enclosure.
Right. So according to we kind of went into that. Left to itself, a disk world would just collapse and all that. So why would we bother pretending the Earth is one shape instead of another? You have to remember the reason governments or people in power spread lies is for power and money, right? What kind of power and money are they getting out of saying that the Earth is round instead of flat? So what is the main reason we not only believe the Earth is not flat, but we know it's not flat? Because
I love that
fucking
argument.
science.
I love that argument because you're right. People are too fucking greedy to do this for nothing. Like there'd have to be something huge out of it.
Monetary. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So according to an article written by, I don't know how to pronounce her last name. The first name's Stephanie. We're going to pretend we're good friends, so I don't have to say her last name. If the Earth was flat, things would fall apart dramatically and fatally. This is like a thought exercise where we pretend the Earth's flat for just a minute to see how fucking stupid it is. She states the Earth is a sphere. This is a simple fact that humans have known for thousands of years. It was incontrovertibly confirmed as soon as the Soviet Union launched the Sputnik 1 satellite in 1957, and it went, around the globe.
Yeah.
So
around the globe.
In the 1850s, astronomer James Clerk Maxwell showed mathematically that a solid, disc-like shape isn't a stable configuration in the cosmos, in work he conducted regarding Saturn's rings. So Maxwell's research predicted that Saturn's rings would be made of lots of small, unconnected particles, and he turned out to be right. His math also explains why there are no planet-sized disks floating around the galaxy. So to flatten the Earth without spinning it very rapidly, you'd need magic, or perhaps a giant galactic panini press. At any rate, a stamped flat Earth wouldn't last for long. Within a few hours, the force of gravity would press the planet back into a spheroid shape.
Yeah, but they don't believe in gravity.
Oh, yeah, gravity's fucking fake. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Gravity doesn't exist. That's not real.
I mean, and then also you look at pressure, like submarine hulls. Like if they go too deep, like they'll start collapsing and crinkling in on themselves from the pressure and gravity. Like it's a thing.
Oh, I believe you. I'm down with gravity. I'm just saying that's an argument that I've totally heard from flat earthers that they don't believe in gravity.
And you can't believe in gravity to be a flat. Like you literally can't though. Like,
well, no, and that's what I'm saying. I do believe in gravity. Like I know gravity exists. Like it's real.
Yeah,
we're gonna come back to why Brett believes submarines crinkle at. Anyways,
it's true.
No, I know it's true, but it's okay.
I'm literally agreeing with you. Is what's happening.
Oh God! Hold on, tequila, come here.
I thought this was going to be an argument today too. I really thought I was going to be able to just smash you with facts
before Brett came on,
just be like, "Hey, okay." So you're saying that you Brett don't disagree with us on the flat Earth thing. You just have questions about conspiracy and government and etc.
Yeah, my stuff's more trust related, which we kind of talked about earlier.
Okay, so and I get that. Okay, so but. Damn it! I had some really good arguments that are. We totally still bring them up because
we have listeners. Statistically, we're gonna have listeners that 100% believe in this flat Earth, so we can still cover those.
I have yet to meet a person that truly was honest with me when they said that. Like I've had people tell me, like, "Oh yeah, I believe in flat Earth," and I'll be like, "Really?" And they're like, "No, that's dumb." So I mean, I've yet to meet anybody. I have seen people on the internet that do it. But
I have one coworker that I have been told. He is a flat earther. I have not had that conversation with him, but everyone's like, "Oh my God, have you heard about this guy?" I'm like, is he like gay? Like what? Like, why are you telling me like that? And they're like, "Oh, he's a flat earther." I'm like, "Oh, like no, like I even really like this guy."
The horror.
That is a shame.
I really like this guy.
So let's go with the arguments then. I don't mean to hijack, but I feel like, we need to go with at least like something. I'll play the other side. So flat earthers, where we're at, flat earthers believe that gravity isn't real. I've heard a lot of that. Obviously it is. We can discuss that. Where's my flat earth notes now? Now I'm totally frustrated. You've got me all over the place, Brett. Damn it, Brett.
I'm me.
Yeah.
You.
I was ready to yell at you and tell you that you're wrong.
I have so much.
The pregame was like so anti-Brett. Wow.
Okay, so I've seen some other stuff. The Bible thing we talked about. One of them that I really liked was the moon makes its own light. I've seen a lot of flat earthers talk about the moon making its own.
Its own light source. Yes, that's one thing.
Yes.
Brett loves this one actually.
No, okay. I like the magnifying glass experiment with it.
Didn't you hear that on our bell?
That's not our bell, but that it's not its own light source. I don't believe it's its own light source.
Okay, well then, Brett, everybody is on the same page with us two. That
you
flat
fucking
earthers
coward, Brett.
I'm not a coward. I told you the part that interests me.
But I will tell you guys out there, like there's a lot of stuff on this. There's a lot of realism. There's a lot of people that believe, not a lot, but a lot of people in my mind that believe that this shit's real. It's amazing what an internet troll can do to really like create havoc in the world of fake information. So,
Oh my God. Yeah.
what about eclipses, Brett? Do you believe in the eclipse thing? They talk about how
Well,
the eclipses.
you look at the shadow when it crosses, or a full eclipse or a total eclipse. Like you think if we're a disc shape that you'd be seeing like a line going through it, or be partly,
the turtle.
or
Oh, but the eclipse is fake,
not the
so
turtle.
of course it's round.
Well, I did see some stuff too on like latitude, longitude lines. I mean, I got to give Flat Earthers some credit. They do reach out there a lot with some of these theories that they
go deep, but they go with something that fits their narrative. And then as soon as something causes the house of cards to collapse on one side, they have no defense for it. Whereas science stays consistent with it.
Like we talked about earlier, I find that they are more than willing to try to destroy the science that's being put in front of their face instead of prove their own science. So if there's any flat earthers out there, please leave your comments for me. I will gladly respond to you.
And Aaron is going to be responding because I'm sure as fuck I'm not arguing with a meth head on the internet. I'm just not. Like, I do that enough in my real job. I don't get paid to argue with meth heads on the internet. So this is the most you're going to hear out of me on this. So let's scroll down to the debate portion where we get to address some of the major theories believed by these guys. And then
so you're going to throw these theories out and me and Brett are going to battle over what's right and what's not?
Absolutely.
Well, on the outline, you put it in my color.
Yeah, but I'm just fucking hijacking it because I'm like tequila confident right now. Can you tell?
Outlines are meant to be changed.
Yeah.
Outlines are meant to be changed.
Audible.
There you go.
I just feel like if anyone wants to, you can go to Buy Me a Coffee on Support Your Local Degenerates on our website if you want to pay for me to have more of my fake penises for stress. This is important for me.
You have to get ones with no fly zone logos.
I was about to say that. You need the officially licensed no fly zone dicks.
Cannot believe
no fly zone.
How many of these?
I'm sure all 3 viewers would totally buy those.
Yes. So go to Buy Me a Coffee or PayPal or something. Just send me, I don't know, like $10, however much it costs for me to buy a fucking fake penis. So we're going to start with the first one, which is something we've touched on a little, which is that Earth is a disc, obviously. Antarctica is the boundary around the edge, and the North Pole is at the center of the disc. So the theory is that the flat Earth is derived from many different facets of science and philosophy. The simplest is by relying on one's own senses to discern the true nature of the world around us. The world looks flat. The bottoms of clouds are flat. The movement of the sun. These are all examples of your senses telling you that we do not live on a spherical, heliocentric world. This is using what's called an empirical approach, or an approach that relies on information from your senses. The Earth isn't pulled into a sphere because the force known as gravity exists in a greatly diminished form compared to what is commonly taught. The Earth is constantly accelerating up at a rate of 32 feet per second squared, or 9.8 meters per second squared. This constant acceleration causes what you think of as gravity. Imagine sitting in a car that never stops speeding up. You'll be forever pushed into your seat. The Earth works much the same way. It is constantly accelerating upwards, being pushed by a universal accelerator known as dark energy or etheric wind. There are also other theories of flat Earth, though, that maintain that the Earth sits on an infinite plane with the sun moving overhead, and gravity works much like it does in a round Earth model, and the Earth will never form into a sphere because the plane is endless.
Wow.
Go on, then.
It's like listening to Fantasyland.
Yeah, or meth heads.
Mm-hmm. Brett, you got something?
I
mean, we touched on Antarctica.
I don't understand. Like, okay, they're saying we're constantly moving up, we're never slowing down, we're constantly accelerating. Right. I mean, how do they say that? Well, I agree with that. I 100% dismiss this. Let me start off with that. But what I will say is, like, what is their defense to aircraft flying at 30,000 feet and we're constantly moving up? Like, how's that aircraft
fake?
stay static?
It's all fake. Yeah. Everything's fake.
I mean, you think if we're moving that fast, that you know, like an aircraft can stay at a steady 30? I don't know. That's certain flight altitude.
Because when you bring any of those points to a flat earther, they literally say it's fake, it's projection, it's all made up, they're lying to you. Next question. And it's like totally dismissed.
And they have some interesting, I've heard some weird science things, like you said, with the airplane thing, whatever. I'm sure you've got some other topics there. So, but like, we've touched on the Antarctic one. That one, obviously there's footage. They say it's fake. No one's down there. There's no research. It's just an ice wall.
Yep.
That's
So,
our
I
next
mean,
one, actually.
Well, and then
Um,
we'll go into
the ice
that.
wall?
Well, and then
Yeah.
the other one that's pretty popular in the flat Earth community is the United Nations flag, because it's, instead of it being a globe, it flattens out all the continents, and they're saying that that's actually Illuminati code, or the establishment's code for this is how the Earth really looks.
Okay, I'm going to make this really clear for everybody out there. I totally believe in the Illuminati. Okay, I've got a bunch of theories on that shit. But if you want me to tell you that the Illuminati is responsible for hiding everything that makes the Earth round or makes the Earth flat that they don't want anybody to see, they're not that good. Okay, they're good. They're not that good. Nobody is that good. You're talking planetary deception. No, it's bullshit. So,
I actually agree with you. And here's the thing: is like, so I'll use this as an example. Is obviously, in case I never mentioned it, I work in law enforcement. My current agency.
really?
Yeah, I know, it's shocked everybody. My current agency, people like to come up with these grand conspiracy theories of corruption and like these crazy plots. And the simple fact, now I have worked for an agency that was like that. We'll get into that later. But my current agency, the simple fact is they are too fucking stupid to cooperate for even a millisecond long enough to create a conspiracy. So you're imagining a level of cooperation on
Yeah.
a bureaucratic level that has never once been achieved in the history of mankind.
Oh, no, the scale
like,
on we could be at universal peace, and the scale on this is like absolutely ridiculous. Like, you're talking everybody in every industry that has anything to do with this. No.
Like, if your boss and your second in command boss can't get along about what to fucking have for lunch, what makes you think an entire government agency full of much smaller dicks who imagine they have much bigger dicks can possibly cooperate for long enough to get anything done on this scale? They can't even do it on small scales.
It's amazing to me that the human race has made it this far.
Oh my god. No wonder if aliens are abducting us, they really do think of us as livestock animals, and I can't fucking blame them. Look at us.
Exactly. Well, you made the point earlier with that too about it being like what you were just saying.
Who's benefiting? Yeah.
Yes.
Who is benefiting? Because humanity in general, especially people in power, will never ever move a finger, if it does not benefit them. There's no motivation.
What's the means to an end? Like, what's
the reward?
That's what I'm saying. What's the return on investment? You're exerting this energy or effort. What are you getting in return? What's the return on the investment?
It's the same reason that most people will not stop and help you when your car's broken down. They get nothing out of it. If they do stop and help you, it's because they're about to post a very self-righteous Facebook post about how they stopped to help someone on the side of the road. So they're still getting something out of it.
I know for a fact that they turned down that extended warranty 4 times at the dealership.
Every time.
Just launch into outer space, find something floating out there. I'm trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty. We're going to move on to the Antarctic ice wall, which is everyone's favorite. So the theory is that there's a treaty signed by countries to prevent people from traveling to the edge of the Earth and discovering the ice wall. And the ice wall is what's preventing us from falling off the edge. So, facts of the matter. The treaty was signed to demilitarize Antarctica, to establish it as a zone free of nuclear tests and the disposal of radioactive waste, and to ensure that it is used for peaceful purposes only, to promote international scientific cooperation in Antarctica, and to set aside disputes over territorial sovereignty.
All right. Pulling the treaty out of the situation, which they will talk about all day, nobody cares. There is no ice wall. We have actual people in actual ships that have actually circumnavigated the globe for hundreds of years. Okay. You can get on a cruise ship and circumnavigate the globe. Okay. There you go. That's what I got for you right there for that.
Very concise. Well put.
I mean, if there was an ice wall, I would love to see that shit, but there's not.
So one of my biggest things to go against flat Earth and some of the stuff that they believe is that my job in the military was a cavalry scout, which is Army reconnaissance. So there were a lot of times I'd have to shoot azimuths or plot routes or use military maps and equipment, and I'd have to do like resection and intersection to figure out locations where I was and things like that. Or there was even training exercises where we'd be at Fort Hood or Fort Knox, and they would put us in the back of a truck and they would drop us in the middle of a field, and we'd have to orient ourselves and figure out where we were and get to, our exfil spot in, 3 hours. And some of this stuff wouldn't work what I'm getting at is like the military maps, at the amount of detail they go off the grids on these. Like if it were a flat Earth, it wouldn't make sense. And like I've looked on the what we call BFTs or Blue Force trackers, which is basically the military's GPS system that they use to show where friendly units are, where allies are, where possible enemy locations are. And with how detailed that is with the grids and the nomenclature on there, that to me proves that that's another proof to me with military equipment that we are on a sphere. Like,
See,
if you
I
keep
thought you were going
following
to
it
go the
around,
opposite direction with that. I thought you
Yeah,
were
I
going to.
actually was going to totally use that against you because I really thought like you were going to be like, "Oh yeah, it's flat." I'm going to be like,
no,
"Dude,
but
you
I'm
literally did
doing,
it for a living. Like, how
but
can you say that it's
but,
flat?
but I'm
Are
saying,
you
I'm
one of those
saying
people
this,
they're paying off? Like, I had a whole like joke plan for it and everything. It was
no,
great. It just kind of killed it for
no,
me over
but
here
the
by
reason I
switching
say this is
sides
not
and
the
being a
reason I
pussy.
say that is not everybody does that job in the
No,
military, or not everybody has access to that kind of equipment or to see that kind of information. And I even have like a couple military maps myself, and they're just the level of
did you steal
accuracy.
that
Like to
shit,
do,
or did you take that shit home and
no,
seal
I
it?
was
No,
I
you
was
did.
I was given it,
Tactical
Yeah,
but
acquiring.
but what I'm getting at is these
secret
maps are so
documents at your
accurate
house.
that is if you're doing a lays for a grid, you can get to the point within a 1 meter area of accuracy. Like that's how accurate these maps are. And so,
I so thought you were going in the other direction with that.
Man,
I'm
I
my
was
mind's a little
hoping to.
blown.
I was really hoping to. I had
Because
some
you
but
good
brought up this
points.
argument before about being in the army and how. Wait, no, back up. You've made these arguments before where you were using it as a flat Earth pro.
no, I would mess with people like when we were flying back to Kuwait.
See,
We're like
troll, troll,
Oh,
troll,
So no, like
disinformation,
we were
troll.
finishing a 15-month tour in Baghdad. We're flying on the C-130 back into Kuwait, right? And you're all stuffed in like sardines, all your gear and stuff. And I looked at the guy next to me. I'm like, what if this whole time we were just in Nevada for the last 15 months? We never actually were in Iraq. And like basically like make him think that we're a flat Earth, that we're flying around for 17 hours. We're not actually flying. We're just flying in circles, just like a Twilight Zone kind of moment to mess with somebody. But
you
it's just weird stuff to
coward.
think about.
Man,
How
I
Shit.
feel like I should argue for flat Earth now, just
Not,
because
I
you
know.
changed
I really
your
thought Brett was
persona
coming in here.
on this
You said
situation.
more
Okay,
pro flat Earth shit on other episodes than you're saying on this episode. Man, you are letting us down here.
Okay, it's not my fault that you put you stigmatize me, and I have to uphold the stigmas at times.
all right. So everybody out there, Brett is not a flat earther. He just questions science. That's all.
I guess, thank you, and I will believe the science if it proves it. And there's certain things that we're still trying to say because science does change, but that's just where I'm at.
Okay.
Okay,
Well, I was going to use that argument. Like I said earlier, I was going to use that whole satellite you doing tactical maps because I've heard some of your stories before about some of that stuff. So you kind of put it on the play, and I'll put it out there too. Like, I mean, just mapping technology alone. Obviously, it's very much around. And we've been mapping for thousands of years. The Vikings mapped areas and knew that it was round. So
the Vikings, who came to North America long before anyone else. That's a whole nother thing.
you know what? I've heard that story.
Leif Erikson.
Leif Erikson. Leif.
Mhm.
Leif.
Leif.
So the next one is about the theory that they have about how the sun works. Like it's some kind of fucking electrical thing up there. So the theory that they have is that the sun is about 3,000 miles high, about 32 miles across, and it stays at the same height infinitely, moves in a circular course across the flat Earth, the spiral widening and retracing, creating the seasons. So,
Okay, I've got one for this that I actually am stealing from somebody else.
excellent.
Basically, the argument here is, and I've seen it, you can actually go to certain flat earth websites and actually see this light experiment that they do. They go off the basis that the planet is populated mostly on the northern hemisphere, and they use the light pattern as a way to show. Now, the key to this is if you watch, there is no way to prove within the light where it actually shows like time zone light. Like if you watched the real science diagram of how the sun works with the globe, you can actually track the light by the time zone. So it would be accurate if you're actually in that country or in that point of space. If you watch theirs, there is no accuracy in their weird lighting display that they use like an
None.
8th grade science experiment.
Is this the? Are you talking about the one, Aaron, where it's like a tabletop? It looks like Risk, and they have like this pole with like what would be the moon and the sun, and they're like
Yes.
spinning it around the
And
tabletop.
they use
Okay,
the
I'm making sure we're
light.
talking the same thing.
And I know there's a flat earther out there. Again, I don't know the name because I just stopped caring.
Yeah, don't care.
But he sells an app that I saw on a couple of podcasts that shows that concept. And
Yep.
I'm just like,
whoa.
I thought that was Flat Earth Dave.
No. That's the other guy that I can never
guy.
remember his name. I know Flat Earth Dave just because I've seen him a lot. I don't have the name, but I'm sure podcasters out there, you probably know who I'm talking about. And he's got the app that shows you that light theory concept. Again, just Google it, boys and girls. These aren't experiments.
Or don't, because then your algorithm's going to be fucked and show you all sorts of things.
No, if you want to go, like the big argument is like, oh, I saw it on this podcast. Okay, if you want to go to podcast world, there's a guy, Professor Dave. He literally craps on flat earth theory constantly, and his shit is accurate as fuck. True professor, the guy knows what he's talking about. So if you're out there and you're even thinking like, damn, like, well, maybe this light thing's true, look at the science. Like, go into somebody who actually has a degree and they'll tell you exactly what I'm telling you, that it's not real.
I take issue that app is for sale. It seems like if there's that kind of information out there, you'd want it to be free and distribute it to as many people as you can.
No, they don't want it to be free. They make money on people's ignorance and stupidity.
Also, you're literally creating your own supply and demand by charging money for it. It's kind of the same way as, say, if you ever put a piece of furniture out on the curb with a free sign on it, you know how long that thing sits there? But you slap a $50 sign on it, you know how fast that thing fucking disappears off your curb? It's the same exact thing. You're creating the illusion of demand.
You're again taking advantage of the ignorance of human society in today's day and age with social media and, fake everything.
Well, there's one thing that flat earthers, I don't know if we're covering that because I know we're talking about the sun now, but there's one thing about the Great Lakes, being able to see the Chicago skyline on a clear day from one end to the other, and flat earthers conveniently don't believe or buy into the scientific fact about the refraction of light showing above the skyline, because they're like, okay, well, the curvature of the earth, I shouldn't be able to see the sky rise of Chicago from the bank, of the Great Lakes. And I don't know, have you guys read about this or seen that?
I'm both proud of you and impressed that you have managed to turn around in such a short period of time, because you have straight up sent me fucking videos proving the earth is flat because of that exact thing, and now you're like, these flat earthers believe this crazy thing. I'm
are you talking about their horizon theory, like it doesn't drop off the horizon, that you
or people like, for instance, I think it was in China where people would see like the city in the clouds or whatever, and they'd do like
fucking
the whole,
refraction.
Okay, so I believe that weird documentary that basically proved that flat earth wasn't real by flat earthers had that experiment in there, something to do with where they watched the ship. And,
Behind the Curve. It was made in 2018. It is no longer on Netflix.
Yeah. So the if you're talking about the horizon thing, the experiments that I've seen online, so they watch the ship disappear, and then they pull the telescope out and they look and go, look, there it is. What they don't do is continue to watch the ship until it actually disappears. Because you're on page.
But it fits the narrative. That's what I was talking about. Right. They do it until it fits their little 30-second TikTok. Or
here, let me stop that before it actually does disappear. Now, again, boys and girls, I'm not a scientist in any way whatsoever. I just read shit like everybody else and make my own decisions. So if you really think this shit is true, I'm sorry.
And something I was thinking about last night as I was vaping away the stress of my brain cells disintegrating inside my fucking cranium. Our entire life, from the moment that you're born and start learning anything, exists on the basis of us choosing to believe shit, choosing to believe people, choosing to believe books, videos, our teachers, our parents. At some point, we're making conscious choices on to believe this person, not to believe this person. And that comes down to, again, the author of your fucking textbook, your high school teacher, your college professor. It's the same way, you go to the zoo and you're watching the fucking dolphins play in the aquarium and it's so cute. And then the fucking dolphin trainer says, well, this isn't normal behavior. To you, it looks like normal behavior, but to this fucking expert who spent their life studying it, it's not. So are you going to believe that it's normal behavior or not? You see what I'm saying? You're at that moment, you're going to say, wow, I wonder what he's seeing that I'm not seeing because he knows something about dolphins that I don't know. It's the same shit that bothers me with Flat Earth, where they're like, well, we don't know that, blah, blah, blah. I haven't seen that. And there's all these experts who have spent their life doing this that they're now just simply choosing not to believe.
But you're implying that people are actually using critical thinking.
I'm implying they should, and they're not.
No, I get that.
It's the same way when I show up with my fucking costume on, and people are like, "I've watched every season of Cops, so I know what I'm talking about." And I'm like, "Good job, buddy. It's cool. It's no big deal." It's kind of like you were saying. You mentioned this earlier, and I forgot to bring this up, but like people will like, especially meth heads, they'll be like, I could go on eBay and buy that badge and that costume. They have to call it a costume when you're in uniform as a cop. I could buy that costume.
Spirit of Halloween.
And you're just like, I don't know what to do. I'm not, actually, my job is not actually to convince you. I just need to do my job, whether you believe me or not. And that's how scientists are completely disregarding these idiots. And that's kind of how I've always felt until, I don't even know who brought up doing this episode. Actually, I do know.
Well, when me and Brett had originally talked about it before this episode did air, a lot of it was on that same science where it was like, making stuff up. Like you were talking about with the meth heads where they're like, I can buy the costume. He wanted to question the science. I get the questions, Brett, but you're on the same page with us. So it goes back to the other flat earthers where it's like, what science do they question and why do they question that science? Like you said, this is a deeper picture than just believing in flat Earth.
I guess I follow.
There's issues.
I fall under moderate. I mean, I go where like the facts are, whether the facts are with science or the facts are with whoever the conspiracy is. Like what's the motive, of certain individuals, whether that be the flat earthers, whether that be the government, whether that be a private corporation. Like I look at motives, I look at things before I just take a side. I like to just kind of take a step back and look at the arguments on both sides, look at the data on both sides. I mean, I don't usually go hard one way or the other unless the facts or the truth is 100% there.
Well, one of the things that you had brought up to me earlier that is that the real scientists don't take their science into consideration. I don't think that's true either. I think there's a lot of disproving of their science consistently out there.
There is.
But even if they didn't, you really have to think logically to yourself why they wouldn't. I wanted to be a jerk and just be like, well, they don't take it seriously because it's fucking wrong. But and the reality of it is it's more the simplified, oh, I can debunk this. Any true scientist can literally look at their theories. It's like Stephen Hawking's doing remedial math. It's just kind of pointless.
But it's funny
why am I
because
here?
if you listen to these guys, like a flat earther versus a real scientist, their entire defense, quote unquote, is, well, you only know that because they told you, not because you've witnessed it. You don't know that for sure. That's fake or that's made up. And that's their the flat earthers' response to real science.
I don't know anything for sure. I'm a believer in the whole concept we live in a matrix. So I couldn't tell you if this conversation was real compared to what that, again, this is a belief system.
And then beliefs are subjective. Beliefs are subjective because you could believe something, that red is even more red than I see it, and it's just how much either of us believe in it.
That's one of my favorite arguments.
Into a lie. I mean, so I don't like following beliefs. That's why I like facts. And, I don't necessarily love math, but I understand the necessity of it, because it is factual. It is grounded. This is true north,
Right. And I think that's a problem. Another problem with flat earthers in that way is they don't actually do the math. They just use it oh yeah, the math adds up. Well, how do you know? Are you a mathematician?
But see, and then right there, when you said, how do you know?
Understand Newton's law of universal gravity, so gravitation. So and that's basic understanding of that. Just for this episode, I was reading the crap out of it to make sure I didn't screw it up, and I couldn't tell you the math. Come on,
and just there where you said, how do you know? That's what I question. Okay, just because I'm told something, whether it's from a scientist, a conspiracy theorist, whatever, I want to know, how do you know? Show me what you're working with. Show me what data you're using. Show me your references. That's where I come from asking the questions. And I want to know, how do you know? And I don't want to just accept just because, oh, we've done this. That goes back to the fifth monkey. I don't want to go back, oh, that's how we've done since the dawn of time. Okay, why have we done it from the dawn of time this way? I want to know the reason why. And I'm talking on a kind of a broad brushstroke here, but whether it's this topic or other topics we've done, like that's kind of how I look at them. Like I want to know the whys.
So basically, you fed us a bunch of stuff about how you believe flat Earth, and then you came on here and totally changed your side.
He did that.
Or,
He
And now
fucking
I
did that.
reached to the screen and
okay,
fucking
well,
did
you see,
that.
okay, I need to say one thing. This is my sibling,
stuff,
and
too.
I got to mess with my sibling, and sometimes I do have to raise her blood
You're not
pressure
smart enough to mess
on the
with
daily.
me. Stop it.
No,
Stop.
Maybe I let you believe that. So
I'm gonna. At some point, I'm gonna be within hitting distance of you, and they're just never. I mean,
well, when you come to visit,
you son of a bitch. Okay, no, you are not smart enough to play the long game, so stop it. I think you did some very frantic Googling over the last couple days and realized that this was your safest bet.
that's
actually
because
ask
you knew I was
Marguerite. I
going
have
to
not.
squash that shit. That's why you knew I was going to
Because
squash
you weren't
it.
even like
and
this
put
last
it where-
episode.
I'm hearing a lot of egos right now.
No,
My
this
ego
is
never
fact.
would have done this outline at all.
This
Like,
is facts. Yeah, no.
so.
No, what I'm saying is there's a persona I had to kind of keep up on this, and then it was kind of funny seeing you get agitated, so I kept on with it, and I was like, okay, I'll wait till
Okay.
game time.
Oh my god! I literally
So
this
so
thing
much
is
for a long
coming
game.
apart. Oh god! So the fact is, the sun is 94.082 million miles away from Earth and is about 864,000 miles wide. The Earth rotates around the sun, creating our solar year. That's the facts of it. There's a whole bunch in here about light speed. I'm a little too buzzed to read it. I don't give a well, I do. We'll put it all on the blog. Oh my god. So the next one is everyone's favorite that we talked about, the ships disappearing over the horizon, right?
The horizon
So-
area.
The theory is that the mist near the surface of the water influences and adds to the optical illusion. Water will and does lay level and flat. A distant body such as a lighthouse will sometimes seem to be obscured, and at other times the lighthouse will be revealed, allowing the observer to see further than the globe Earth should allow. This Robotham guy says that the sinking ship effect is most likely to occur when the weather is not calm and observations are conducted over hectic ocean environments. In more landlocked areas such as lakes, canals, and ocean inlets, and under calm conditions, the effect is less likely to occur. This inconsistent nature of the effect is contrary to the argument that the sinking effect must be the result of a spherical Earth. With the advent of time-lapse photography, we can analyze this phenomenon closely to determine its true nature. It has been determined that at times a sinking ship can be caused by the swells in the ocean water between the observer and the target body. That's their answer to that.
Well, we've been over that. Basically, they just don't look long enough, and they pretty much just lie about the rest of it.
Yeah.
It's very simple. It's not crazy science. You can literally just watch it. They bust the telescope out. Hey, look, it's still there. Just watch, and you'll
Use your
see it
eyes.
disappear.
That empirical evidence y'all love so much.
And I've heard the argument many times from people who argue against flat earthers too. And I totally agree that like they don't realize how big the planet is. Like this is a big ass planet. The curvature isn't just like right there. Like it takes time. Watch. If you don't believe me, if anybody out there who thinks flat earth, take your telescope, watch the ship. Don't look away. Keep watching. It will disappear from base to top. It will.
Mm-hmm. So the fact of it is the sinking ship effect is an effect by which distant bodies appear to sink into the surface of the Earth. This effect
Is that what it's called?
used.
The sinking ship effect?
It is.
Or did I have that wrong? I like the horizon effect better.
I do too, though.
I think I've
Sounds
returned that for
catchier.
you flat earthers. Flat earthers, horizon effect. Much better. Sounds cooler.
This effect was used as evidence in ancient times for the Earth's spherical nature and was Aristotle's first proof for the globular hypothesis. This is, in truth, the rise and fall of tides due to gravity and the moon, which is scientific fact. And how do we know that? Because of motherfucking science and motherfucking math. I mean, I don't know how many times to repeat that. And now we're going to open the stage for any other arguments that you've heard or want to throw out there about the flat Earth theory. Go crazy.
We kind of covered the dome, the firmament, talked about the flat Earth map, the UN flag, talked about the sinking ship effect. I don't know. We covered a lot of the things, the ice wall or, the barrier that protects the edge or holds the oceans in. I think we kind of covered a lot of the things that they believe or they
do believe another one that I like is that the North Pole is the center of their map.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's the very middle of the table.
Right.
Yeah.
So they kind of create their own longitude lines. Is it longitude? I think I have that right. Latitude, longitude. They kind of create their own lines. They're not parallel. If everybody's looking north, everybody's looking south, everybody's looking in a different direction. So how would you all see the same thing from the same
And
place.
the only thing I think we didn't cover, or we might have skipped over part of this,
Eclipses. Oh no, we did that.
is that going back to the creationist movement. One of the theories when they ask, when you said like, what's in for me, or what's the monetary reason they would do this or try to hide this, or what's the big, behind the curtain. And the reason that they say that this is because if we are not on a globe and we are actually on this planetarium or, being observed, that would mean that there's, a creator, and then humanity would have to understand that there's like a God or a greater being out there. And that goes against science's belief. And this is what flat earthers defend with. This is not what I'm saying. This is what they believe.
Well, science believes there's a greater being out there. It's called aliens. And we all believe
Okay,
in that
thank
shit.
you, because that's what I was about to say next, is if you take this to the nth level
But
here.
again, I was going to the creationist, what they think, though.
Yeah,
That's
no,
what
thank you
saying.
both. You're both on the track of what I was going to bring up, which is a lot of flat earthers, when they really commit to this, they say that we are alien petri dishes, and there's possibly infinite of us, or discs past the ice wall, and we're all being kind of tended to by aliens. The Big Bang is really just one universe, or our world kind of stopping and the next one starting, or vice versa, whatever. And that some kind of alien overlords are setting up this giant terranium that we live in, and creating the lights and the stars and the whole thing. We're basically a giant experiment, and there could be infinite numbers of our little petri dishes past the ice wall, all being tended to by giant alien overlords.
And that even goes into Admiral Byrd in Operation High Jump going to Antarctica, and basically his flyovers of the South Pole, like where they allegedly took photos or videos, and he was saying that there's another continent and there's another place behind them. The flat earthers take this and just go with it, that there's a whole nother continent or missing, rings around us, that our Earth is way bigger than we think.
So aside from general stupidity, for lack of a better term, one has to wonder, how do you get sucked into this, right? I, as usual, have a viewpoint on the psychology behind why people get sucked into things like cults and conspiracy theories, and really fringe, like bottom feeder conspiracy theories like the Earth is flat. So I do have a paragraph on that. I'm gonna fuck off here.
Ooh, I'm interested.
So
yeah, let's go.
One of the articles I was reading, which I always love to find those psychology-centric articles, because this is what is actually interesting to me, is why the fuck would someone believe this, other than meth? So I don't think this discussion is really about the actual evidence or the scientific process, if we haven't already fucking established that. People who believe the Earth is flat aren't coming to that conclusion from the same types of observations. Instead, they believe that we are being misled and lied to, that scientists want you to believe the Earth is round despite its flatness. So the question isn't why do people believe in a flat Earth, but rather, why do people believe in a conspiracy? And the answer is the same reason it always is, which is a lack of trust. And many people don't trust the society around them, like we established, most notably the representatives of that society. That trust often falls even further when it comes to elite representatives of that society, which include government officials, members of academia, and scientists. By claiming that Earth is flat, people are really expressing a deep distrust of scientists and science itself. And later on in the article, they went on to claim that you should work to establish trust with your crazy friends who believe in conspiracy theories, because they feel ostracized, and you're going to ostracize them more.
Question: Are these the sovereign citizens of science?
Oh
Might as fucking well be.
Really?
It's funny because some flat earthers,
Jesus.
some major figureheads in the flat earth world, I guess, or society, whatever, they have been asked about the possibility of being proven wrong. And they have regularly made comments along the lines of, I wouldn't be welcome back even if I changed my mind. They have become so pushed to the edges here, not only by normal people, but also conspiracy theorists who also hate this conspiracy theory, that they feel that the only people they can trust and like have friends with are now each other. So they believe something crazy. They get together with a bunch of other people who believe something crazy. They all feed on each other's craziness, and they feel that they found their people, and they're all bonding over being ostracized and othered. And now they're so fucking stuck.
Are you talking about Comic-Con? Because that sounds like Comic-Con.
Yes, it does.
Are you saying? Are you saying
Or
us
every
against the
other
globe?
nerd event on the planet. Like, oh,
Yeah.
look, we're all ostracized. Let's hang
It's
out
a
and be friends.
self-perpetuating cycle here where they're being ridiculed and pushed
I
to the
love
edges and
Comic-Con,
all
by the
this
way.
shit.
Just
I
put
do
that
too.
out there.
I've
Is
never.
it is it us against the globe kind of mentality?
Well, I mean, if you want to be in an ostracized group, there's about 800 million different ones you can join. Like, pick
Yeah, you can
one.
be a cop.
Oh, she
That's
went
terrible.
there, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey,
Nobody
if
hates cops more than everyone on the planet. Don't worry, guys.
I have a
Go be a
theory,
firefighter.
I have a theory behind kind of what you're saying. Not saying that you're wrong, just a theory behind it that basically is
Mhm.
like it's more of a need. Okay, I was kind of nerdy growing up, so it's more of that need of like social interaction. I
Mhm.
think people just
Belonging.
they want to be taken seriously for something. They want to be this or they want to be that, and I think it's something that they can grasp onto. You notice in the prison system, you'll get a lot of people that come into prison, convicted of crimes, whatever. They're non-religious people or not into certain elements of life, and prison will put them into that point. They need something to believe in. Not saying that their beliefs are wrong. We're not in that question right now. We're just talking about believing. They need something to believe in, something to get them through the day.
They need a flag to follow.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it falls kind of the same in flat earth society. First of all, once again, if you're ignorant enough to believe it, you've probably been ostracized most of your life. Like you probably get made fun of during school. You probably weren't anybody that talking to. And even if you weren't, once again, if you still believe that, you're definitely ostracized now. I can't see too many people out there in healthy, successful marriages and having children that believe flat earth is there. If I'm
I'm
wrong,
just
so be it. But yeah, that's
you have
just
leaders and you have followers, and there are leaders in this movement
yeah.
that have followers. Unfortunately,
Of course, there's
So
always going to be that. I mean, everybody, if you got a good enough tongue, you can get people to follow you.
Mhm.
Cults are prime examples of that as well. But
Um,
I think this is more just a need. It's a need of, I need to be needed. I need to be heard. And this one catches people's attention because of the level of ignorance at it. It's so bullshit
well, and
that
it
it
gets a
literally
lot. It
causes people to be
riles.
like, what?
And to that point, what you're saying, Aaron, I think also that it riles people up so much that makes you feel like you're even more belonging because you have so much opposition to you. Like,
Well,
so
yeah, I
many
mean,
people
look at
want
me and
to.
Clouds. Like,
Yeah,
we both got riled up tonight and shouldn't have. It's you. It's just a conversation. We're doing our thing. But the topic is riling. And I think that's really,
yeah.
like you said, I agree with you there. It brings out the attention that causes people to get, what's the word for it? Like, it's kind of like this show. No bad PR is bad PR. Like, it's just PR. You know, it's people are
Yeah.
out there. Go ahead, people. Troll it away. Yeah, go ahead.
while we're on the topic of cults, though, I wasn't able to
Uh-oh.
find any direct quotes from this, but there was a situation where someone went to like a flat Earth conference or something and passed out these
Mhm.
like questions, whether like or asked questions, read them aloud. Again, I'm loosely quoting this, but they were asking like the flat Earth believers, like, "Hey, do you frequently, feel yourself ostracized or feel like you don't belong? Do you
Mhm.
feel like your friends and family would be happier if they
Oh
also
no.
believed the earth was flat?" And they're reading them all these questions, and everyone was like, "Yeah, fuck yeah." And then at the end of this, like reading these questions, they're like, "Just so you're aware, here's a pamphlet that these are from, and it's how to tell if your friend or family member is in a cult." That's what the
Yes.
questions were from.
I could
Um,
see that being accurate.
and everyone was like, no, 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 it's not a cult. And
But
one of the big ways that this is
cults,
differentiated from a cult is that there's no one at the top, there's no one benefiting, there's no one leader, there's no singular person leading the cult, but people who are in this movement have a lot of the same beliefs and ideologies and belief system, I guess, as people who are in a cult. So it's worth
but
noting.
cults, that goes back to that belonging. Same with religion. Same with political parties. Same with all these different things.
Mhm.
It's a sense of belonging that goes back to probably us as early humans. From hunting and gathering. Like
Yeah, I'm going with
it's
basic human nature here. I mean, I can honestly
yes,
say, as a human being, there hasn't been a point at anybody who's, say, over the age of 30, that there hasn't been a point where you have that feeling, whether it was back in the day in high school or grown up, or you get in a fight with somebody and you're just feeling, distant or sad. These are normal repercussion feelings. Like, we are human beings. This is how we feel. It's dealing with those emotions that can struggle people to find different paths. And the cult analogy is excellent. I have to definitely go with that on. It's definitely excellent. You can't get any better than that.
humans as a whole, as creatures, as animals, are drawn to people who share similar beliefs and ideologies and have this, are not necessarily even the same beliefs right away, but are feeling the same emotions, like you said, like not belonging or
Relatable.
anger at a certain cause. This person also feels angry at that cause. We're going to bond over this, and now we're buddies, even though we have nothing else in common, and we are going to feed off of each other. It's kind of like I work with a lot of guys who are, how to put this, almost like right wing fanatics, like to the point where
Oh,
everyone
What do
who
you do
doesn't.
again? I'm sorry, I forgot. What do you do
I know
again?
you forgot that I'm a cop.
That's right. You're a cop. That's right.
They are so far right that they are lost. That they are
well,
fucking in a cult, okay, and they
there's
feed
there's
off.
extremes. There's extremes to any of this. Like you're talking like the militias kind of movements and stuff, like where they're so far on that outlying edge.
I don't think I'm allowed to say that on YouTube, but yeah, they where anyone who is, it's the same kind of like constant thing where like people they call anyone who doesn't believe with them, oh, you're just a libtard, or, and like a snowflake, and they use comments like that constantly, and I'm just like sitting there rolling my eyes, like y'all are putting yourselves. You're not even being ostracized, but you're doing it to yourself. You're making yourself this victim role where everyone's out to take your rights and take the Bible away. Like all this stuff that's not actually happening. They are telling each other it's happening and agreeing with each other. I'm sitting there like fucking whatever, buddy. Like if that makes you feel better. Yeah. Okay, everyone's out to get you. Like these are straight white men who have no fucking natural enemies on this planet, and they're just victimizing the shit out of themselves. And I'm just sitting there like, okay, like I can't even argue with that because they're just all going to jump on the bandwagon and be like, and like they're stupid fucking where
now,
they put themselves
question.
in camps. Yeah.
Now, obviously, there's strength in numbers. Like when they're together in a group talking, they're obviously more braggadocious or courageous, I should say. Now, would they be the same individually? Like if you caught them one on one?
That's what I was going to go into that point because
they're not brave enough.
Like, so I'm going to that group mentality. So when we're a group, like raw, we're strong. Burn them at the stake. Mob mentality. Whereas by themselves, they're just acting normal and compliant.
You should have seen, like one time I was on a traffic stop where I committed the mortal cop sin of respecting someone's chosen pronouns when they corrected me. Oh my God. I was laid into like, I can't believe you called him ma'am, and on they went, and I'm like, bro, like this is like the least inconvenient part of my day. What the fuck is wrong? Like, oh my God, like they went off on me. I'm like, he just asked to be called, or she asked to be called ma'am instead of sir, and I agreed and went about my fucking traffic stop and wrote the ticket. That's all I did. And my coworker was like very deeply offended by this whole interaction. It was pretty fucking funny. They're like, this is how they're taking over. I'm like, I'm sorry you're so threatened by this interaction. Like, it was the wildest shit. Like, I don't even know what to tell this guy. I'm like, just try being decent. Like, if you can call fucking what is it, John Wayne, that's not his real fucking name. That's his chosen fucking name. If you can roll with that,
you can't stage name. Yeah,
you can't roll with someone else's chosen name. Like when someone changes their name when they get married, you can roll with that, but you can't roll with this. What is wrong with you? Like, how is this the hill you want to die on?
And I think you're right. It goes back to kind of Brett's point. Like it's a group mentality thing. I'm paraphrasing that movie Men in Black, but if you remember that scene in Men in Black where he's like, a single person is like smart, intelligent, blah, blah. A group of people are dumb.
Absolutely.
Ridiculously, whatever.
It's almost like a sickness because people suddenly become more concerned with what their friends or immediate vicinity people are thinking of them or how they view them in the social hierarchy or whatever, than their specific morals. And it's one of those things where if you don't know yourself, it's going to seem so cliche, you don't have a strong sense of your own beliefs, morals, and standards, then anyone around you is going to influence those automatically. You're just going to conform instantly.
It's kind of, I think of like kind of like a protest going on, right? Which is perfectly fine, right to peaceful protest, but then you get the one person that throws that brick or Molotov cocktail, and then it's a chain reaction.
It's you, isn't it? You're that one person, aren't you?
So the we don't talk about that.
I've never been a fucking follower. What can I say?
Well, and then, like you said, and I think that's where we're going back to this flat Earth concept. It's just it's a construct to be able to feel included, to be able to be part of something. Again, I'm not a psychologist. I don't have a degree in any of this crap. I just like to read, but I do believe that it's just people wanting to be included in something that draws enough attention for them to be included without having to think about it.
And
I'm glad you
people
said that, Aaron.
really like it's almost they enjoy being in that group where they're being opposed so strongly. It almost makes them stronger.
I could use
Us
my
against the world.
generation on this one. Obviously, you're a little bit younger than myself, but my generation, there was Gothic was an image that we had in our school system, like growing up, high school. That was like the Gothic morale. Like, I'm going to dress in all black.
Yep.
I totally don't want anybody to pay attention to me, but really, I want everybody to pay attention to me.
Everybody
I have
looks
Gothic
at you.
friends. I'm not talking shit. I think it's cool, but that's definitely one of the reasons why people do those kind of things.
And there was a banding together of people like that and an enjoyment of the being targeted, quote unquote,
Right.
Everyone hates us because we're different, but that makes us stronger with each other, builds that bond. And it's the same thing happening here, where they feel like the opposition or the hate means that they're that much stronger and that much more correct in their beliefs.
And what's funny about that is that they're trying to villainize science, which brings us so much, which is the ironic part of it.
Which is the true shame, because you're really like, you're destroying thousands of years and all these people throughout history that have literally helped create the society in which we live in. And you're literally just shitting on it because you want to troll some bullshit and be included. Like, that's kind of dumb. Like,
well, what a great time to be alive.
And my biggest thing is you make stupid people believe you, so then there's more people that it's like, dude, it's like taking advantage of the kid at school that isn't as smart as everybody else. It's just like, damn, that's stupid.
Well, I feel like we got through this pretty painlessly.
Other than the fact that Brett changed his mind. I'm putting that out there.
You know what?
Like,
what's that
flip
thing?
the switch.
Am
I just that good, Brett? Am I
pancakes.
that good that I had you turned before we even started?
No. Well, what's it called? Never let them know your next move. Yeah.
You're fucking lying.
It's called.
I'm
not. I'm actually not. You can ask Marguerite.
Oh my God. Brett has been sending me endless TikToks for months about the dome and the Matrix and the flat Earth and the firmament.
Matrix is
and
real.
The missiles.
Matrix is real.
Oh yeah. Well,
total
now he's
Matrix.
on record saying that the Matrix is real, just so everyone's aware. I guarantee that you've made comments in other episodes. I'm going to have to go back and collect them all now.
Why do you keep agreeing with me?
Yeah, stop agreeing. He was what I believe happened is Brett got scared prior to coming on this show, which is why he was late. And then
I actually had to get kids settled down.
You don't have any kids. Shut up. They're fake. It's a Matrix. So on that note, I'm going to let Brett and Aaron share their parting thoughts. Somebody talk.
Brett, you want to go or?
Sure. Yeah, I think we identified earlier in the episode my stance and feelings. Like, it's more of a government and institution distrust. The Earth is absolutely round, a sphere, a globe. I can't find anything to prove otherwise, and everything proves that it is a sphere. So that's where I rest. There are other conspiracies that Aaron did mention that have a lot more credibility that they are a conspiracy that we can cover in other episodes. The KC, you did really well for can't really tell you're that buzzed.
Thank you.
We and this whole time we realized that we've had an audience member. That's so cool.
Yeah, that's Rachel.
Reaching out to our audience.
Yeah, we have a live audience with us. We also have listeners now in Poland. So
Poland.
Poland. So we're starting to spread a little more globally.
It's kick ass.
Globally spread around.
Brett has been using that same theory to spread his seed all over the continental United States.
All right. Well, I'll do the same thing as with Brett. I will definitely say that you guys are pretty clear on the reality here. I believe in the science. I believe the Earth is round. I think flat earthers are full of shit. I really think they're just like little teeny kids reaching out to, get some attention because they didn't have enough attention from their mom and dad at home. So at the end of the day, believe what you're going to believe in this world, but the world is frickin' round. Okay? There's my belief for you two today.
Touche.
I love that.
And I convinced Brett without even saying anything, so we're good.
Brett fell into that hive mind bit we were talking about where he fucking folded like a wet paper bag. I swear to God.
You just don't want to admit that I had the foresight to juke you on this.
And I just want to say, as your guest, thank you once again, boys and girls, for having me on your show. I have totally enjoyed it. I always do, and I hope that I can come back again
You
for
will
more
be back.
topics.
Aaron's gonna be back. Aaron's gonna be back a lot more.
We're gonna have to have Brett do like a fucking news release about what he does and doesn't believe, so we can't ever let him backpedal this hard again. I
I
am
just
going
need clear and present statements.
I'm setting myself up for politics right now. Okay.
for politics,
It's a joke.
son. My final thoughts are: I fucking love tequila. I really need some money for new fake penises because I really ripped into this one, guys. This was a whole penis at the start of this episode. It's literally
Look what you've done to your sister, Brent. Look what you've done.
I didn't do anything. She's
tiny weak
her
balls.
own person, her own strong individual person.
I have always been the black sheep of the family, the goth kid of high school, the weird one, the fuck all of you one. So I don't care. Don't care. Kind of love it. It's kind of my kink because people leave me the fuck
Didn't
alone.
I just say what goth people did goth for? Just put it out there, yo. I don't want to be the center of attention.
No, she would actually disappear though.
I literally.
I probably fall more under the hot topic kid than she did. So
I was the one who literally would vanish into fucking thin air. Like,
well, there was the one that went to Hot Topic and the one that listened to Depeche Mode. So whichever one, that's kind of the other one.
I couldn't afford Hot Topic. I am going to end this episode with a Florida Them, which we haven't done in a few episodes, and I keep forgetting about. And only because the ad came up on my little tablet here, I am a little buzzed. So, Florida man with no arms uses his feet to stab a tourist with a pair of scissors.
Talent.
How do you let yourself get stabbed?
How do you let yourself lose your arms? Like, rude. Fucking.
Wow. That's
no responsibility.
Wow.
A homeless South Beach artist with no arms is facing an aggravated battery charge after police say he stabbed a tourist using scissors held with his feet.
So you respond to this 911 call. How do you detain this artist?
Bro, I don't know.
Who has no arms? He's stabbing people with his feet.
Don't you have foot shackles?
Foot
shackles out?
Like, what do you do? Like, I'm asking legit.
We do have leg shackles, which they're usually used for like transporting prisoners to court and shit. But I believe somewhere in my car there is a pair.
Does it say why he stabbed him?
Oh God,
it's Florida humidity.
Oh. Crenshaw said he was lying down when a man came up and punched him in the head. So he pulled the scissors out of a suitcase with his feet and stabbed the man twice to defend himself.
Wow.
Why would I go and attack someone else? No, I wouldn't do that, Coronado said. It's like, how the hell did I get stabbed? Like, is it the right guy at that point? Because I can't believe with his legs someone could do that. And that's the guy who got stabbed. Crenshaw said he put the scissors in his waistband and walked off quickly. That's it.
With
That's
his
all
feet?
I got.
Hey. That guy deserved a thing. He'd come up and punch him in the head.
What if the guy that is the victim in the story was actually the aggressor and thought the guy with no arms would be an easy victim to steal or assault from? And he actually
steal
got
or assault from.
Well, it sounds like that's what
steal
the story
or assault.
Is,
you know what I mean?
That, hey, I'm going to punch the guy in the head with no arms. He's not going to do anything back.
Yeah.
Wrong.
I mean,
assumptions.
Plot twist.
I don't fucking know.
That guy deserved to get stabbed.
I don't fucking know.
Good
Hopefully
for you,
they have.
Arms, man.
Yeah. No arms,
someone
man.
Someone sets a GoFundMe page up for him so he can, not.
What shows do we have upcoming, guys? What are we doing?
What do we have upcoming?
I know we've been working on this Bigfoot one. I know that one's been in kind of beta test mode.
Let's do an update on our buddy Ryan, who is apparently he used to be my roommate. He was on our Return to Base episode, our little veteran roundtable. So I believe that my curse might have onto him a little bit because he has had his router now fried, I believe, 2 or 3 times. And the last time, the lightning fried his router and also fried his nice computer. But
what if he's on an Indian burial ground, or he just needs to leave Oklahoma, or like what?
Something is happening, but he should be on at some point. We've been teasing this Bigfoot episode forever. I even have the outline done. It sounds like we might have an Illuminati episode in the pipeline at some point now. What else we got coming up, Brett? Throw something out there, anything.
I would love to do like Waco, Oklahoma City bombing, 9/11 conspiracy. There's a lot of the Bin Laden death conspiracy. There's a lot of different ways you can go with this.
Ooh, Bob Lazar. And if you guys ever do
That's
Bob Lazar, hit me up. I'd love to do Bob Lazar with you guys.
Don't know who that is. Who's Bob Lazar?
Google it.
No. Okay, yeah, I will. All right. On that
And then
note,
also,
guys,
I would like to, and I'll make a request. I like to do more disappearance episodes. Not like the
I
Kenny
would
Beach one.
love to do those. Those are my favorites.
Kenny Beach was fun. Hopefully, it was fun for our listeners. But
I feel sane doing those. So, thank you guys for suffering with us through this mind draining bullshit, and thank you, Brett, for flipping like a little bitch. And we will see.
No, you just don't like being juked in the open field.
I was not juked. Bro. I'll end your life. I'll be an only child. Totally fine with me. So if you guys have any thoughts or ideas or suggestions for future episodes that maybe I won't have to drink so heavily on, maybe give those to us. Or say hi. I don't care. Something. Follow us on our socials. All that good shit. Bada bing, bada boom.
And going off what Aaron said earlier, listeners, if you have reasons for why you know for a fact the Earth is flat, please send that to us and Aaron so that we can.
Dude,
don't send it to me.
I can't stress that enough, boys and girls. If you really think it's true, don't troll with some bullshit.
Or something we missed.
If you really think it's true and you really have a genuine argument, please throw it at them. Come text me. I don't know how to, I'll give them a message. They'll tell you whatever, but tell me seriously, and I'll prove you wrong.
Yeah. Aaron is our resident scientist now. I don't make the rules. That's how it works.
I just read.
Thank
you guys for having me on the show. I totally appreciate it.
And thank you.
I love it on this.
Thank you again, Rachel, for doing so much work on our outline. There's a lot more science to it that I will put up on the blog for you, but I am so over this topic. I cannot fucking tell you. So thank God it's done and over. We are gonna say goodbye on that. Love you too, Rachel. She said love you guys. She's in our audience right now.
Thank you, Rachel.
And AA Ron is awesome. Yes, he is. We'll have him back.
Thank you.
On that note, bye.
Bye.